Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm JJ Flazanes, your empowerment strategist and producer. Thank you for downloading today's episode. Today, we're going to talk about creating from possibility. I have back on the show Dr. Dain Heer. It's his third episode here on the show. Also, Doug Sandler will be joining us because I've literally been holding this recording since March of 2020. Doug and I went to Italy, invited by Dr. Dain to visit his castle in northern Italy. We came back from that trip and the pandemic had hit. We decided to record a video with Dain so that I could show you pictures of our trip and inspire people to take this pilgrimage to northern Italy to go to his castle. And throughout the recording, I had gone back and forth a couple times. I've now really edited and listened to the show at least 6 times. And I came up with different titles for the episode. One was about receiving and learning how to expand. So I decided on creating from possibility because as I revisited it now, Dain gives a lot of great questions. He wants you to think differently about your life, and that is sprinkled throughout this entire conversation. I will warn you, we are mostly talking about Doug and my trip to Italy, but there's a lot of lessons along the way about that. And one of the things that came out of this episode also was rather than try to spell or say where the castle is. So I bought dainscastle.com. That's D-A-I-N-S, Dain's Castle, C-A-S-T-L-E.com. And that will take you directly to his castle. I thought it would be a lot easier for everybody than for us trying to tell you how to say it or spell it. Took me a long time to try to find it again. So dainscastle.com is where you're going to go check out the castle. And also, we filmed this on video, and I inserted a lot of pictures. So if you want to see the cake, the rooms, the coffee cave, the wine trip, all the wonderful things, go to jjflazanes.tv to watch this video. So while we are talking about our trip to Italy, please take a step back or take a step forward with us and envision yourself going on a trip like this, a magnificent experience, a once in a lifetime, which I'm going to say it's not once in a lifetime, it's the first. And it's the first of hopefully what's to come for you when you start creating from possibility. And that is what I decided on the theme of today's show. Dr. Dain Heer is an influencer of change and inspiration with a community of over 1 million people. Millions of people engage with him across social media, and his videos regularly go viral. He is a popular speaker, author, and inviter to greatness and consciousness. Originally raised in the ghettos of Los Angeles and trained as a chiropractor, Dr. Dain Heer is also the co-founder of a diverse range of businesses around the world, the castle being one of them. A conscious and creative thought leader with a profound understanding of the power of personal creation, Dr. Heer draws upon his background and unique perspective to facilitate positive change in the world and empower people from every culture, country, age, and social strata to create the money, relationships, and life they truly desire. Enjoy today's show. Welcome, everyone, to today's show. I'm JJ Flazanes.
I'm Doug Sandler. And Dr. Danger, where'd you get danger from?
Dr. Dain, I just figured I'd add to it. A little embellishment never hurts.
I know, but Dain, then you went ahead and put a little smiley face after your name on the Zoom screen.
He's being playful. He wants to be fun and lighthearted like he is in life, right?
Story.
Understood.
Exactly. Understood. I don't like to take myself too seriously. Let's put it that way.
Oh, good. That's 2 of us. So JJ's the only one that's going to be serious during this whole converization then.
Sorry if I would like a little linear structure to this conversation.
Understood. Well, we'll let you lead the conversation then. Please, we'll bow down to you. Go ahead, JJ.
So Dr. Dain Heer has been on both of our shows, The Nice Guys on Business, and on all of my channels, minus Health and Wealth. We'll have to get you back for that one. And one of the things we talked about in the Access Consciousness conversation and in Doug's show with you was somehow we got to the fact that you guys had invested in restoring a castle in Italy. And so
thank God we got into that conversation too, because that led down a whole different path. This is perfect.
Yeah. Right? And maybe some of this is actually divine timing in business, divine timing in life, because one of the things that we were planning on doing before you guys had your interview, which was at the end of December 2019, was that we were planning a trip to Italy for my birthday. And we really didn't have any solid plan. We just said, we're going to go to Italy, and it was going to either be the north or the south. And then you guys had your conversation, and then you told us about your castle, and then all of a sudden we were going north. So first, let's start off by telling everybody a little bit about Dain. They know now that you do Access Consciousness. You're one of the co-creators of Access Consciousness, and it's a global business, and you have trainers all over the world. And how is that connected to the castle? And what in your life got you to say, this is the next evolution for me? This is the next thing I want to try or do?
Yeah, well, it's one of the next many evolutions, actually, which I think is also important to acknowledge to the people out there that think there's just one next evolution. The way this came about is, you stated the aforementioned, as it were. And so with that, having this worldwide business, I travel a lot. And one of the countries I love to go to is Italy. And we facilitate classes there and have facilitators there. And my business partner, Gary, had this thought. He just woke up with it one day and he's like, I'd love to own a castle in Italy. And the way we work is we'll pay attention to that. And then something usually comes along and is like, shows us the possibility for actualizing it. So anyway, 2 weeks later, he got a call from somebody who said, hey, there's this tiny little castle in this town called Castello di Calzoborgone that has been unoccupied for since 1970, almost 50 years. And, it's for sale. Would you like to go check it out? And he's like, sure, okay. And he went.
Oh, wait, let me ask this. Did you put your message out to the world that you were looking for a castle, or did somebody, just a real estate agent, just happen to call you or a friend say, hey, we have a castle that you might be interested in?
It was actually a friend. It was a friend that we knew through our Access Consciousness business and who said, there's this castle for sale. And so it was one of those. It wasn't even, hey, let's go look at castles. Let's call a real estate agent. It was just one of those. And it was really one of those off the cuff things that he just thought of. And then 2 weeks later, here's the offer to go look at it. And one of the abilities he has, which I've developed as a result of working with him for the last 20 years, is to be able to walk into a situation and perceive the future that could be created.
Nice.
And I think great business people actually have this ability. I think actually people who are successful in life in any area have this ability. Well, he has this dynamically. And so he walked into the castle that, things were really dirty. Things were, there was stuff everywhere. And he looked and he saw it as it could be. And he said, okay, how much? Well, we ended up finally, it took almost 9 months to close the deal on the castle because the people that owned it were very, very interesting to deal with. Interesting business conversation in that one that I won't bore you with the details of. But we bought it and they said, okay, so we had several contractors come in and check it out and architects. And so we had this whole group of people that was supposedly advising us. And they said, yes, it's going to take at least 3 years to finish this. And we looked at that and went, nah, we can do it sooner than that. Because one of the things we've learned in our Access Consciousness business is magic. And how do you describe that? It's actually the willingness and ability to have things show up on a different timeline and with a different possibility than other people perceive. So we got it done in 18 months. So August of 2019, we opened and it's been open since.
Well, I remember that when we had the tour, Igor had shown us sort of like the top part, like the highest part, I guess you can go, that one room that's kind of drafty.
Where you see the roof,
the brick and the
rafters and all that. Yeah, incredible.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
He was telling us about how quickly that it got done. And, one of my questions was, how does the town, how do the Italian people, because neither you nor Gary are Italian, right?
Yes, true story.
Okay. Right. So I'm like, how are the Italian people handling the Americans buying a Italian castle?
Well, this is the interesting thing because so many people who go into a town like that are like, we're Americans and we're here and we're right and we're going to do it our way. But our target from the beginning was not to be the typical American a-hole that buys something and makes it theirs. Our target from the beginning was actually to restore it and not to modernize it, but to bring it up to modern standards, but to make it the elegance that used to exist in the past, like the 1920s, as an example, where you walk into something and there's so many beautiful things to look at. You're not sure where to look first. And
that's exactly how I felt when I walked in. And even before we even got there, from a distance, you see this castle up on a hill with a town surrounding it. As we were being driven up to the castle, I was thinking, this place is really ultra cool. And then you have to drive through the stone arc where the church is on the left-hand side, I think it is. And you're driving through and you're seeing this small town that surrounds the entire castle, where I guess all the workers used to live back in the early days.
And some still do. And some still do.
Yeah, yes. And some still do. And a lot of cats. And what was really cool was the first approach. There was a few. The first approach was when we pulled up, we just saw, I felt like I totally was stepping back into time, because, JJ and I have been watching Downton Abbey for the last couple of months. And, when guests arrive, you always have the staff outside to greet. And we were just so captured by the fact that I couldn't get I was embarrassed to take my phone out to take a picture of your staff there, because
right.
I hadn't even met them yet. But there was like 8 people that were waiting outside for us, including the chef and Igor, and I love his name, by the way, Igor. Yeah.
Right.
So does that happen for everyone? Does everyone get the procession of the staff outside waiting for them? Because I thought, I didn't even think that would happen. I'd know, of course, in my mind. Otherwise, I would have had a camera out to take a picture, because it was so amazing. But I was like, oh my gosh, we really are in Downton Abbey right now. So does that happen for every guest?
Yeah. And that's the target,
Incredible.
But that's the whole thing that we wanted to create at the castle, was like Downton Abbey, but without the stuffiness, where it's like, this is your home away from home, but it has an elegance to it that most people may never see in their homes, but they can come here and actually have that nurturing, but also have that there's an amazingness in the space there and the elegance. And that sort of arrival was somebody that works for us thought of as an idea. And I thought, oh, that is brilliant. Please, let's do this.
It's so perfect. And walking into the front door after you get through the gated entrance into the main entrance, and you, exactly as you say, as soon as you walk in, not only is the reception desk a big old desk there where Igor was sitting, but all of you didn't know where to go first. You had the beautiful dining room on your right. You had the billiards hall billiards room on your left. You had the coffee cave.
I have named it the coffee cave. Okay, it is
right in front of you.
Because I sat in there. Right, I sat in there.
Official name.
Yeah. I think it should. Adrian thought it was a great name. He went and took pictures for me, and when after I had left, because I thought, I called it the coffee cave when I was there, and then they were like, "Oh, that's a good name for this." And then I realized I never took a picture of it. So he sent me pictures, because one morning, Doug, with the transition in time, he slept in later than I did. And neither one of us got like great sleep the first couple of nights. Great sleep in the bed, of course, not because of the bed, just because of the time change.
Just because of the time. Oh my God. Yeah.
And then I got up early and I thought, I'm going to go down and have coffee by myself. And so I went and sat in the coffee cave. It was really cool. But I want to, before we get into the whole experience and describing it for you and showing you pictures and possibly even video here on this video, if you're listening to today's show on a podcast, know that we have done a video version of it. You can find it at jjflizanes.tv, and it'll have pictures of the castle, pictures of the trip, hopefully video of the castle. But on a business side, I wanted to ask, and if it's too personal, you can tell me, no, I'm not going to get too personal, like, asking you how much it costs or whatever. But is it a business, like, did Access Consciousness buy this as another revenue stream? Or is this literally like a fun project for you? Is it a personal business side gig? What is it?
Yes. It's
good answer, Dain. Good answer. That's exactly how I would have answered it too.
And, it really is. Access Consciousness didn't purchase it. There are, I think, 8 or 10 of us investors. And we just saw the possibility of it. And one of the great gifts Gary has, my business partner that went there and saw it for the first time, is an ability to convey the possibilities for future that something might have. But also, we trust Gary implicitly. And it doesn't mean we give up our own awareness, but when he says something, we're like, okay, is that light? Yes. Okay, let's do it. Because we know that with all of us together, we cannot fail. And we may have hardships, which we have had at the castle, by the way. It's been a very interesting journey on so many levels. But what happened was he came back and then he's like, you got to go see this place. So I went to see it, and I think I was with two other people. He wasn't available, and a couple of the other investors weren't available. And I walked through it and I was like, whoa, okay, this place is either going to be absolutely spectacular or a total friggin' failure. But one of the things I've learned to do is ask a question. If I choose this, what will my life be like in 5 years? And I just get the sense, like greater or lesser, like bigger, smaller. And I got bigger. So I went, okay, I'm in, let's do this thing.
I just know that I want to hang out with the 10 people that all, not just because you guys have a castle, but because of that positive energy and that light that you guys present, because that is exactly the way I think about things. It's like, okay, let's all get some great like-minded people together that all have positive energy. And how can anything fail? I mean, you might have financial setbacks or there might be things that dips in the road, but you're always going to have that uptick again. And that's so true. And I love it.
Truly.
I want to,
and that, yeah. Well,
can we talk about the contrast? You know, for me in law of attraction terms, it'd be, you know, there's always contrast. And contrast can help to clarify. So we don't look at it as a problem. We look at it as an opportunity potentially to do something different or change paths. And like you said, it wasn't meant to be, was there going to be hardships? Yeah, in anything there could be a hardship, but it's how you phrase it. So I'm curious to pull in some access consciousness right now. How do you talk about contrast in access consciousness when you're applying? Because I know that when you went in, you used your tools of, you know, how do I feel? Very quick to use some of the access tools to decide to make this big purchase, to make this big decision, and to kind of go with the flow. But then what do you use? What are some of the tools when there is contrast or thinking about something that could be looked at by other people as a problem, issue, or, you know, situation?
Well, I think it goes back to the people that you're working with. Are they willing to create from possibilities, or are they so steeped in problems and solving problems as the only value that they never get to the possibilities? And with these 10 people, it's about possibilities always. So you know that you have this sort of platform that you can start from with them. And so even the things that seem like a problem to everybody else, our basic question is, what else is possible here? Actually, we have basic questions, I would say. It's more like a, you know, if you want to say a mindset or a sort of way of functioning that we have, which is, what else is possible? What's right about this I'm not getting? What's it going to take to change this into something that works? And what are the possibilities beyond our current reality that we're not looking at, that if we chose those would make it even greater?
Perfect. That's exactly where I was going in terms of the languaging. And I know we've talked about it, I believe, on actually two other shows, both of the shows that we've done so far on my shows, the episodes on my channels. But so now at this point, other than the business adventure of now I'm looking at possibility. And I think that's really important for everyone to hear, regardless of how you're going to apply today's information, is when you look at life as possibility and what am I not seeing, and to feel into, and is this right for me? And is, you know, what do I think's happening in 5 years? In fact, I don't think you even know, Dain, the show that you did with Doug back in December 2019, you'd done like a little exercise with him on the show. And he didn't tell you what the content of that was, but the content of what it was is he was actually having a little resistance to even going to Italy and going on this trip.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And we see how that worked out. And what was so and it's just so amazing. You know, it was partly when JJ first introduced the idea of going to Italy to me, my brain went into, oh my God, a trip to Italy, and at the way that we like to travel, I think it's going to be very expensive for me. Very expensive. And I wasn't in a position to be able to say, okay, well, I'm going to set aside this amount of money, or I'm okay going into that amount of money. And I really had some resistance to it. And then when I had you on the show and you asked me to kind of think through the possibility there, the first thing that happened was my brain went into, yes, this will be a positive trip. And it kind of adjusted my whole mindset about how I was going to handle the trip. And you can see how it laid out from there. You know, I remember asking you a question about the castle, and we're going to Italy, and your exact line was, I will help a brother out. And I had no idea what that meant, you know, and I can't tell you how amazing. I mean, you specifically, Dain, made this trip. I mean, JJ, of course, you made it a valuable trip as well. But Dain, just your positivity and the way that you approach this when talking about the castle, and I was not trying to angle for anything other than just share some positive vibes with me. And man, you guys you went so far above and beyond where I thought that anybody would ever go for somebody that, I mean, we had just met, Dain. So it was like, I'm so impressed, and I'm so, you just really, really made me feel like I really want to pay this kind of vibe forward for sure.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And, I think that's part of the gift of, it's like, because we know inherently if we're going to contribute to people, if it's going to create more, like if it's going to create more happiness in somebody's world, like if somebody can receive it, and it makes them happier, it's like, dude, the world just got greater. You know what I mean? And I'm just going to say this, and who knows if it'll make it to audio or video, but I have this gratitude and adoration for both of you. And I hope that doesn't sound cheesy, but it's like, I just do. It just is. I don't know how to explain it. It just is.
We love you too.
And we totally love you, Dain. We love you. And even without the castle, we still would have loved you anyway, because after you came on my show, I'm like, this is a good guy. I got to figure out how to hang out with this guy and the people that do what he does a little bit more, because how do you not come away from an experience like that, whether it's the castle or just a good meeting? How do you not come away saying, who he reminds me of to a certain degree, JJ, and I know I've had him on my show and you have as well, is Brady Patterson. Just like Brady, just the philosophy of life and the positivity that he exudes, and the light that there's a light that literally shines around you in my mind. When I think of you, think of Brady and several other people in my life, there's that light that shines, and I just get excited. And of course with you, JJ, as well. But it's just amazing to know that there are people out there in the world that really there's no ulterior motives. There's no like, what am I getting out of this? It's almost like, Jay Facette is like this too. It's like you lead with giving. You lead with me first. What can I do for you first? Let me give to you. And I have always been that guy as well. And I've just never really encountered that number of people that do the stuff that I think comes so naturally to you, Dain. So thank you.
Thank you. And
well, can I get in here for a second? Well, one of the things, we took our recording equipment to Italy with us, didn't record a single thing in Italy.
Nothing.
Because I was wanting to live our vacation instead of talk about it. But I also was getting ideas the whole entire time. And one of the ideas that I got at the castle specifically, and we will share with you our experience here shortly at the castle, is the idea of the art of receiving. You mentioned if someone can receive it. And I trust that within Access Consciousness, and of course, all the work I'm doing in Law of Attraction, and, and Doug, you talking about that light, there is an ability to receive in order to get these things. Like you have to be able to have the container available to receive the things that you want to receive. Right. And that is a practice. And so I thought of the art of expansion was actually the art of expansion, not receiving. The art of expansion was my idea for a show, because again, expanding out that ability to receive more, because literally, while I used to work at the Bel Air, and the Bel Air is a great place to be as a guest, and I'm sure that they do customer service to the best, to the top level as well. I mean, the castle takes it to the next level. Totally. And I think it's a great exercise for people to consider, like, why would I travel to this place to have a vacation or to have an experience when I can get one closer to home, or when I can get one that's a little less expensive, or I can get one, and I'll tell you why. You go there because you literally practice the art of expansion, because until you are given at a certain level, a lot of people's self-confidence gets in their way, and lack of self-worth, to being able to receive things, which then blocks you from getting anything more that you want. And I found that even Doug and I, to some degree, at some point, I mean, me more probably than him, I noticed sort of my upper limits being pushed a little bit in the amount of receiving. Now, I was perfectly comfortable. There was like a little bit in different places that made me go, I can see how I, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, might have been uncomfortable receiving right now, or saying, oh, no, I can't accept that, or I can't do that. But we kind of just sort of, we melted into, now it was my birthday.
But you know why we melted into it? Because there was so much of an abundance of it at the castle, between Igor and the chef and the wait staff and the cleaning crew and everybody that was there, and the driver and the tour guide. You couldn't not receive. It was impossible to go there and not be in a receiving position, because it's almost like when the locusts come out. The locusts overwhelm so much that there's no possible way. A bird can only gorge so much before he says, hey, listen, I can't, of course, it's everywhere. It was everywhere. everywhere we went. And all over Italy, it was the same way. The graciousness of the Italian people, it was amazing.
Well, it wasn't quite the same as at the castle.
It wasn't quite the same as at the castle.
Castle's a whole different experience.
But it was at every level, whether it was just going downstairs to get a cup of coffee or sitting at dinner and asking for something for the next meal. It was like, and then, they recognized that it was JJ's birthday. I forget whether I said it or we said it or whatever.
Okay, pause on. We're gonna go through the experience.
I know.
You get so excited. But I want to bring Dain back in because it's his castle.
Wait, is Dain here?
Dain who? Dain Heer. Yes, he's here.
Sorry, Dain. All right, I'll shut up now. Go ahead.
Hey, no problem at all. I love it. I cannot tell you how wonderful this is to hear. And, that's exactly, that is what we wanted to create with this castle. And the fact that that's what's there and that's what you received is such a gift in my world. I'm happy to just be quiet and listen.
Even the messaging component of it, we got on WhatsApp when we first got there. And it's like everybody was messaging us from the castle just to make sure that we were enjoying. If we wanted updating, when we were having dinner, anything that we wanted, it was at our fingertips, and it was just such an amazing experience. But I'll let JJ please lead the process here, JJ.
Okay, I just want to take everybody through the process of what we experienced so that you can, for a minute, and I want to just point out some of the places, and you guys can, obviously come in and help with that. In terms of, for me, thinking about what is the lesson in here for me? What's the lesson here for other people? And I was thinking about how, let's say my mother, for instance, would have possibly felt completely a fish out of water in that space because she's not used to that level of service and that level of receiving. And how a lot of people apologize for their existence everywhere they go. They don't feel like that they can be given to. For my world, when it comes to law of attraction, if you feel that lack of self-worth, then you're not going to manifest very much because you have a cap on how much you think you're worth or how much you can receive. Even if it's just a nice gesture from another person, forget financial right now. It's just literally like receiving nice gestures. So we pull up. Danilo picked us up at the train station and drove us to the castle. And we were pretty hungry. We had sort of left and didn't have that much to eat. And so we asked, if we could have something when we got there. And he was calling the castle ahead of time and setting up some food and some drink for us. We'd been in Italy for not even 24 hours and hadn't any wine yet. So we were quick on that. We needed to have some wine when we arrived. Well, yeah, we had to we had to sleep. We had to sleep because we didn't for 18 hours or 24 hours.
Unacceptable for future trips, by the way. Just saying.
Right.
Well, we have the IV therapy the next time. Just wine, just injected intravenously into us.
We were often very thirsty because we hadn't had wine by like 1 o'clock. So we get to the castle, and again, we pull up, and literally like Downton Abbey, there are 6, 8 people standing outside to receive us. And even just, I was like, wow. It's really cool that we're now watching. I've watched Downton Abbey before, but Doug thought he wasn't going to like it. And I'm like, no, you're going to like it. And now that he's watching it, it's so perfect that he's now seen it to receive this. Did you really think of Downton Abbey with this castle?
As soon
no,
as
not you, Doug. Dain. Oh. I know you did.
Yes, the answer is heck yes. Yeah, and that really, once again, that has been the target. Once again, that level of elegance and that level, but the thing the castle has is also this spaciousness too. So yeah, we were definitely, Downton Abbey was definitely one of the targets we were shooting for in the level of elegance there.
Bullseye, man. Bullseye.
Yeah, bullseye. Success. It's definitely, I wish I would have known that was going to happen, but because they didn't stand out there when we left. So I wanted to take a picture, but that was super cool.
Can you stand there, please? Can you greet us one more time so I can please get a picture of this?
Let's set this shot up one more time.
Right? It's something you want to remember. It's just friggin' awesome.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, the first time that we were arriving and they did it, I'm an owner of the castle and I was overwhelmed. I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome. It's just such a wonderful thing that, to be acknowledged and to be received that way and say, hey, we're here for you. Thank you for coming.
What a way, what a tone, what a level of frequency and vibration to start an experience. Like you can't top it, especially when you don't know it's coming. And then all of a sudden it's this, so any of you that are going now that you're going to expect it. But but still maybe challenge yourself to really, really receive it. Maybe I'll ask Danilo to take a picture for me of the next guest he brings. And as they get out, because no one will know it, I'm not there. They'll just take a picture of the staff.
It did, just so you know, it did make it very difficult for our Airbnb hosts after we left the castle.
Why are you not standing outside of your apartment greeting us?
Oh my God. Like one of the places when we went to Cinque Terre, like we had to walk up like a 4-story walk up in these really steep steps with a host that literally had it was a great place to stay and it was a beautiful picturesque town. But the host, I'm like, where is Danilo? Where is Igor? Where are people carrying my bags?
Where are my people? Where did my people go?
Right.
Yeah, so we walked in, we were asked to connect with each other either via, my iPad or WhatsApp with Doug, and so everybody could be connected. And then we, went upstairs, they took our bags upstairs. And again, there are 12, am I right? There are 12 rooms in the castle?
Yep. There's actually 14, but Gary's room and my room are actually the servants' quarters that are at the very top of the castle. So there are 12 livable rooms other than ours.
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to tell everybody about your rooms necessarily.
Oh, so yes, 12 rooms.
That's kidding. I'm just kidding.
Was 12 rooms, yes.
Nice flowers all over your room, by the way. Good picturesque little pictures of the springtime.
Yeah, she's doing a great job.
I haven't seen yet in person. I'm looking forward to seeing in person someday, soon, I hope.
Yes, soon. So we come into the castle. It's now, unfortunately for you, but fortunately for us, we were the only ones there. And so we got I don't know that we got extra attention, but I felt like we got extra attention because we were the only ones there. So we literally felt like we owned the castle because nobody else other than the staff was there. And so we basically could do our dinner time when we wanted to, our breakfast time when we wanted to.
Swimming in the moat, that was really good.
Yeah.
Fighting the dragon single-handedly, that was wonderful too.
We got to play musical chairs in the dining room and sit at all different tables that we wanted to try out. And anyway, so it was fabulous, from the food and the service. And I think someone had asked me about maybe why we were there, or I mentioned it in passing that it was my birthday. That's why we're doing this trip. And of course, your staff just took that and ran with it. And I got the biggest bouquet of flowers I've ever gotten in my entire life for my birthday. And thank God. And they're so smart. Thank you, Igor and Adrian, everybody who thought of this. You gave it to me right away, which meant I could enjoy it, right? Sometimes I wasn't going to be able to travel with all these roses. And then I ended up leaving them there for our wonderful, beautiful server whose birthday it was the same day as mine. So then she got to take the rest of them. And then the cake, and then the birthday menu. I mean, the most beautiful cake I've ever seen. It was delicious. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. And by the way, yes, everybody, I ate everything. I didn't try to stick on any kind of dietary regimen on this trip because I just didn't want to have any resistance to anything, except I did have one resistance, not at the castle. Oh, my flowers. I'm going to put a picture here.
Okay.
I'm going to edit in a picture.
That's awesome.
I didn't eat veal. But anyway, that wasn't at the castle. So again, just super attentive, comfortable. The castle is comfortable. It's warm. I honestly thought... oh, at some point it'll be a little drafty. Nope, not at all. In fact, it was a little too warm for us at some point in time. I remember I brought flannel pajamas. Well, those went away. And
really sexy ones, Dain. If you're thinking pajamas, I'm thinking flannel. Normally, I'm thinking lingerie, but no. JJ brings on her birthday trip to the castle flannel pajamas.
I thought it was going to be cold. Give me a break. It was.
I
cold.
Overpacked. I didn't even check a bag, and I had overpacked for the entire trip. Believe it or not, I in my 2-day or my overnight bag, I packed enough clothes for 14 days, and I still had too many clothes.
So
I'm impressed.
Thank you.
Just that whole thing right there. I don't know how you did that, but I'm very impressed.
I actually slept in my robe the first night, and the robe that was provided by you in the castle. And then so much so at the end, I asked, okay, I love this robe and I'd like to take it with me. Do you have any extras I can buy from you? And so I now have the most expensive robe I've ever owned to remind me of this trip. And it is because it's satin and I think it's from Milan. Anyway, it's beautiful and I love it. I had to have it. I'm just that way when I find something that I have to have, a dish, a jacket, something that I try, and I a man.
I have to have it.
The robe was a sensual experience too. The bathtubs. Thank you. Wow, the bathtubs are amazing.
Yeah. Great bathtub.
Oh, aren't they great? Oh, yeah. Just remembering that now, I'm in a hotel right now in Barcelona, and yep, I could really use the bathtub at the castle. That's all I'm saying. They're
We all
amazing.
we all could use the bathtubs
I don't
at the
understand the
castle.
European showers, and it's not like this in the castle, but they always have that half wall. So it's like you're going to always get water on the floor. What is the deal
I
there?
know. Believe me, I am with you on that one. That's why in the castle we went enclosed showers, please.
Right.
Which is not a very European thing in a lot of places, but
So
I don't understand that either.
I learned all about a warming towel bar or whatever you call that thing. I learned all about how a bidet works. Thank you very much. I learned so many amazing things that I learned in the castle. What I loved about the castle so much, and sometimes you go to some of these renovated and older hotels that have converted, and oftentimes you still do feel like you get a lot of the history, but you don't get those modern comforts and conveniences. And when I walked into the castle, I was like, I could tell immediately that not only is this as close to original as possible, but the furniture and everything was so comfortable and it was so amazing. And it was like I was stepping back in time, but in time where I actually had the furniture was new, even though it was the same old stuff, not same old stuff, but you know what I mean? The renovated look and feel. It was every part of it. It was just jammed with stuff that was just amazing. And I love it.
And that comfort you're talking about is one of our rules, if you will, is if it's furniture you use, it has to be comfortable to use. Looking great and not being functional is unacceptable. Right. Because the antiques we have there, and we have a ton of antiques. And in fact, one of the frescoes on the wall, we had it, examined, and they were like, this thing should be in a museum. And we were like, that's good because we bought it from a museum, so thank you. But at the same time, it's like it has to be functional. We don't have any of the antiques there that are not meant to be sat upon and enjoyed and used. It's not one of those places where we put plastic over, put ropes over something. It's like, no, this is meant to be enjoyed like your home, a home you respect, of course, but like a home you truly enjoy and get the use out of and the enjoyment of.
You know what I really would have loved to have done, JJ, and we'll have to do this on our return trip when Dain and Gary are there also, but I would love to see what the kitchen looks like because the amazing food that came out of the kitchen has to have been prepared in this, I would hope, an amazing environment, knowing the rest of the castle and the no expense spared. I'm sure that your kitchen is the same way.
Oh, let me tell you, that kitchen, we've had chefs come from other places, visit the castle, stay there, whatever. And they walk into the kitchen and they walk out and they go, wow, that's a kitchen. Because as the castle is the timeless elegance, the kitchen is the ultra modern. And I know nothing about kitchens, by the way. So I'm speaking from what I've heard other chefs tell me about how amazing the kitchen is. And I'm like, well, that's awesome because those guys in there, and they produce some amazing stuff. And I'm so grateful for them.
I had one suggestion. It's about making it easier for people to find it and to get online. I'm hoping for $11.99, you'll go to GoDaddy and buy Dr. Dain's or Dain Heer's castle.com.
Right. Yeah. It's too hard to spell, Dain. Crap.
Or dainscastle.com. Can you just do dainscastle.com or something? Because, we spelled it 3 times on my last episode with you. And the link is in the show notes, everybody. But I think just on a marketing, maybe buy garyscastle.com, dainscastle.com, accessconsciousnesscastle.com. Things that are a little easier for the Americans to spell and remember.
Yeah, I like the way you're thinking.
As I was sitting there and we were having, whether it was coffee, breakfast, or dinner, when we did all of our breakfasts and dinners at the castle, I was thinking how incredible it would be to have a group of 20, 30 people that some of them staying at the hotel, or maybe if they're couples, just buying out the entire castle and having like a weekend retreat or a business meeting there. Because when you're in an environment like that, ideas flow and, positivity flows. You just can't help but be positive and energetic and full of life.
And abundance.
Abundance. When you're staying in that castle and walking around the grounds and walking through the town, you could spend the entire trip just at the castle and not have to go anywhere other than the castle. It is just that great a representation of northern Italy. And, and I'm sure JJ will talk for a moment about the wine tour that we did and some of the other stuff, but the castle was just freaking believable.
One of my other shows is called Something to Whine About. And so we definitely, the first trip outside of the castle we took was to a winery, to Masolino. And we did a lot of video. I had Doug as my great producer. He took a bunch of pictures and video as I was interviewing the lovely lady who helped us. And I have her, we're connected on Instagram. And I will be putting out those episodes on, because there'll definitely be more than one episode on Something to Whine About. So it's kind of like a work trip as well as education. And I love that anyway, which is why I started the show with Michael Neely and Melanie Benson, because we're winos and we love it. And now we get to make it a business and we get to travel over the world and do it. And it's super fun. But honestly, like when we came back, I thought, yeah, we could stay here for several days and we could have a weekend retreat here and we could do, some of that brainstorming and networking and masterminding, because it elevates your consciousness. It elevates your abundance. It elevates your ability to receive. And it's something for a lot of people that's so new. It's like, why people love Halloween is because they get to put on a new costume and then be somebody else for the day. And it kind of expands your personality, it takes the limits off of the stories that you tell yourself of who you are. And when you're someone who then steps into this castle, it's literally like the same thing. You then become a whole new story, because this is a whole new environment and a way that you're not used to living, or maybe for some they are used to living. But for anyone who wants to literally like expand to the next level of abundance, a trip like this, and I didn't really know too much about Torino before we went. And of course, I wish I would have known that they make Lavazza there. We would have gone to the Lavazza.
Right.
I ended up like snagging a bunch of coffee before I came home when we were in Venice. But I love Lavazza coffee, and Torino was great. But again, even just being around the castle and being at the castle. And I want to also, that was something we talked about.
You should have a period night where everybody is wearing black tie or white tie and tails. And you have actually like a couture come in and actually dress everybody for the evening. Because I don't know if people are going to pack there.
Not a footman.
Where is my footman?
A valet. We need a valet.
Where's my valet? So you could do a really cool thing like that.
I think it's a great idea. And what you're saying about how it actually inspires, it's like Halloween, but it's like a season of elegance that shows up, but also the liveliness. It's like, it's so alive, and it's got that energy of, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like every piece in the castle was chosen for its aliveness and its contribution to the castle and the people that will come. And that can sound weird, but it's more like, okay, this thing will, this thing won't. And you get a sense of whether it will or not.
I feel that. I feel the energy when you walk in there. Do most of your guests come from the US, or do you have them come from all over the world?
No, all over the world. And it's been wonderful to see. I love one of my favorite things is I love getting the responses after when people have been there the first time. And, I'm like, hey, send me pictures of your favorite thing, or send me, and it's such a beautiful thing, because you can feel that energy in their world that I know the castle is, that there's you almost can't put it into words. And I'm really grateful to both of you for putting a lot of this into words that I was never able to put into words. I just go there and I have a sense of it, but it's like, it's such a cool thing to have people get that experience, but also to get that experience. And it changes you in some way, not just while you're there, but it's like, it opens some door in most people's worlds where something is just different. And they're, like you were talking about the willingness to receive, JJ, it's like they just seem to open that in some way. And they're different after that, more receiving.
I wasn't trying to connect Halloween, right, with the castle necessarily, but the idea of why people like Halloween is because they like shedding their story and trying on a new story and the freedom of playing in a whole new story. And I think the castle does that, but not in a temporary, not meaningful way, in a very deep and meaningful way. One of the things with you guys that I know we knew going in that there wasn't any, you said, hey, there's no televisions in the room. Well, I wouldn't have expected there to be televisions in the room, and Doug and I don't watch television. We don't even have cable here. So we do watch Netflix, but we don't watch, we're not watching the news. We don't ever watch the news. We try to avoid it at all costs. We only get it through social media. And for people who aren't used to that, it actually will force them to be more than to worry or do, because when you're present in the present moment, and I know we could talk about this for days on end between access consciousness, law of attraction, consciousness, mindfulness, all of that, understanding of that we are human beings, not human doings. And a lot of our issues come out of all the stories we create and disconnect from who we really are all the time in the worry of the future or our sadness about the past. And we're actually never present. We're not really, really present most of the time until we go on a vacation. But you could even go to the castle and work. The Wi-Fi is outstanding. So you could go to the castle and work and be in a new environment that expands, again, the possibilities of your life to be able to receive and to have great ideas. So, and I know that is one of the things, I believe you've had many access consciousness retreats there, or at least a few of them, right?
Yes. Yes. And it does that. It is this contribution. And it's got a space to it that few places have anymore. You know, it's like space is being eaten up in our world. You know, people are trying to fill every space, and this is like, it undoes all that. You're like, oh, this is what space is like. Who knew?
So I know what we learned, and I think I've covered some of that already today. For you as a business owner, for you as a spiritual being and teacher and leader, I think you didn't like that last time when I said that. What did you call yourself? It wasn't teacher. It was Facilitator.
And it also wasn't spiritual. It was more about consciousness, because there are a lot of spiritual people who try to say they're right and other people are wrong. And I'm not interested in that, because I'm not right and you're not wrong, and you're not right and I'm not wrong. Let's all get together and create.
Perfect. What would be the lessons you think this experience taught you and expanded you? How did buying a castle, restoring a castle, owning a castle expand you?
Well, if you had asked that question at the beginning, we'd still be talking about it. Let's put it that way. Okay, so let me try to shortcut that, even though speaking succinctly is not my greatest quality. One, never quit, never give up, never give in. Number two, you will always find a way if you don't stop. And number three, don't buy anybody else's point of view about what's possible. Follow your knowing and find the people that can create what you need created, even if they don't appear to exist right now.
Well, that was pretty succinct.
Yeah, that was really
Number
succinct.
4, have fun. Okay,
Yeah,
Number 4 is have fun.
I love it. Doug, do you have any last parting questions?
I'm trying to figure out how to hang out more, not because of the castle, but just come here to LA and let's take you to a whole bunch of places that we would have such a positive experience and just such a great time. And even if we, how often do you get to LA? I want to go like wine tasting with you in Paso Robles or something like that. That would be so much fun.
That sounds awesome. And given that I used to live in Santa Barbara, it's like, oh goodness, I used to love going wine tasting there. So yes, definitely. And I don't get to LA very often anymore at all. But when I do, I'm looking you guys up and harassing you. How about that?
Yeah, there will be no harassing.
And if you ever get to Houston, or
you're never there. You're never in Houston.
I was going to say, I probably shouldn't say that. I should probably say, if you ever get to any city around the world and our schedules coincide, we definitely have to find wine, great wine, not mediocre wine, not good wine, great wine to drink wherever the heck we both or all three of us land.
Yeah. All right, let me throw this out there to the world.
I think we should all meet at the castle.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's meet at the castle. Let's throw this out to the world just so you kind of have this in the back of your mind at some point. And Gary, if you're listening to this, the same for you. JJ and I would love to work on a project with you guys somehow, some way, if there is something that is in the future that you see a good mix for us, because I know that when you put very positive minds together, even if you have lack of resources in one area, you have an abundance of resources in another. I would love to figure out what is it that we can do to either support or help or do anything that we can do because there's just more positivity coming. I know it. So we would love to be I'm just throwing that out to the universe there.
Thank you. And I got to say, for me and Gary, we are honored. And the beauty of the conversation with you two is it's like we can throw that out, and then there's a point, if it works, it's like there's a point in the future at which somebody goes, hey, I have this idea. Oh, and then we connect on that level. And I think it's such a beautiful way to create, because then you're not going, oh, we must do this together because I've decided today we must do this. Rather than that, it's kind of like the castle. It's like, okay, here's this future possibility. Let me know when we can actually do this, when it actually works, because the universe has an impeccable sense of timing. And if we follow that, shit works,
Right.
you know?
Yep.
It's like, and so I'm grateful, and yes, and you let me know or we'll let you know.
So I want to just make sure I am very clear to everyone about what I think the lessons are for everyone and why you want to look up Dain Heer's castle.com or dainscastle.com or no, I'm kidding. He hasn't bought it yet, but you go to the show notes to get the link for the castle because it'll be there, as well as pictures and video and anything else I can stick into this video. So one of the things that I want you to consider, if you are someone who is looking to up level your life, you want to get to, and what I mean by up level, we've been working on the Big Leap a lot from Gay Hendricks. I interviewed him and done it in my inner circle members, and just noticing sort of those limits that we put on ourselves, those ideas, those stories that we tell ourselves about who we are, what we do, what's possible. And I love how possibility driven you are, and I'm sure Access Consciousness is. And that's, Doug and I have a lot of Sag in us, and Sag and Doug is a Sag. Sagittarians are like truth seekers and always like positive spinning. Like, what is possible? When someone says, I can't afford something, I say, well, why don't you ask yourself the flip question, how can I afford it? Instead of looking at, I can't, because you're looking at this cap of what you think is reality right now, but that's not your reality in a second from now, or in a day from now, or in a week from now. So change the question to how can I afford it? And why would I want to stretch myself? Well, because most of us are walking around saying, I want something more than I have now, or I want something better than I have now, or I want something different than I have now. And the only way you're ever going to overcome any of that is to stretch yourself into something beyond what you are now, and to learn how to receive at that level. And the castle literally is a perfect place to do that. It's a perfect place to go write a book. It's a perfect place to go and do a little like self-meditation retreat. You can go do fun things, of course, go wine tasting, go to Turin. But literally, if you want to take any kind of work, I need to read books, I need to write a book, I need to work on this thing, I need to go on a sort of self-retreat, it's a perfect place to do that, because not only do you feel supported by the staff that are around you and the environment that's around you, you get to sort of unconsciously reprogram what is possible for support in your life, invisible support, that consciousness, that God, that source, that creator, whatever you want to call it, is that sort of undying, always giving, positive flowing support that you have access to all the time. And we pinch ourselves off every day. And when you step into an environment where you are so bombarded with support, you quickly remember who you really are, and that the universe is here to support you, and that you can receive anything you want to. So just literally as a bucket list item, if nothing else for your life, a bucket list item to do very soon in your life, because we will be back. It was hard to leave. It was like Doug said, it was definitely hard to leave. We had such a wonderful, beautiful experience, and we want to plan how we can come back and bring other people to experience the magic that can happen when you let go of your story about who you are, what you're worth, what you're able to receive, and definitely make it a point to put on your schedule to get yourself to Italy and to go to the castle and to spend at least a couple of days there. We were there for 3 nights, about almost, 4 days, 3.5 days. That was a good amount of time. We could definitely spend more, but check out the link, go check out the castle, put it on your bucket list, start asking yourself, how can I get there? And let the universe show you how you can get there. And mic drop. Okay, so
I mean, I can't add any more to that other than just say that's amazing. I mean, support. I mean, Dain and Gary are like the Spanx of Italy. I mean, it's such a great environment. The Spanx of castle ownership. Dain, I can't thank you enough. I mean, man, between you and Gary, the entire staff there, I was ultra welcome. I felt completely in a world that I never felt like, wow, I don't know that I've ever seen that part of generosity, giving, and abundance before. Kind of opens your mind up to, like JJ says, when you're around that, you kind of feel like, wow, if this can happen in my life, so many other things should be able to open in my life as well. And I felt totally like that. The rest of my trip, it was amazing. And I had such a great time, whether it was Venice or Milan or wherever we were at. But I'll tell you, there is a special place in my heart for that castle and for the team that was there and surrounding the castle, because they're amazing.
Yes, amazing. I really wanted, sorry to interrupt you. I really wanted to make sure we really focus on your staff, because your staff is top notch. All of them, every single person contributes in a way that adds to the experience. They go over and above. Their customer service is bar none. Doug and I teach customer service in companies. We've done it before. And this is now the gold standard of the customer service.
It's not just, you can't just train somebody that is something that you have to be, it's either has to be inherent within you, or you have to be able to understand the importance of that. It's not just like being able to turn on a customer service switch and have yourself be positive and uplifting. You have to live, breathe, eat, sleep that philosophy. And without that, the entire thing breaks down. So everybody not only provides great customer service, but they live the philosophy of service has got to be amazing. I live to serve, and I really feel that about your crew.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And also what you said about feeling part of that elegance. It's because so many places, if we've been in, I don't know, wealthy people's homes or museums or something, it's like, well, here's me and there's the stuff. But I'm so glad you said that, because that's one of the things we want people to walk away with is, no, this is you too. You're invited this, you're part of this. This is part of something you can have as your experience of life, even if it's just at the castle, but this is part of your experience of life too. And welcome. And thank you so much for what you said about the staff. I can't tell you how grateful I am. And I can't tell you how soon I'm going to tell them after we finish this interview.
We did tell them. We did thank them,
Awesome.
But yes, please tell them through you. Because then they'll be like, oh, Dain told us that you said that, right? So they'll be excited
Right.
to hear it out of your mouth. So Dain, thank you so much for the opportunity to go, for letting us know about it, for showing us the way, for being that next level of light, and for really inspiring us, Doug and I both, in several ways. And now we want to share it with others, and we want to share that inspiration, if nothing else through us, but we really want to encourage people to live their life and do it. And this is not a dress rehearsal, folks. So go
Yes.
do what you don't say, oh, maybe one day I'll do it. Just do it. Just make a commitment and do it. And I promise your life will be different when you come out of it.
Yeah, thanks,
Yes,
Dain.
and I thank
Excellent
you guys.
times.
And I thank you also for getting it. I can't tell you what a gift that is to create something like this that's out of the box and have somebody get it. An amazing gift. Thank you both.
All right, everyone, check out the castle, and we can't wait to hear who's going next. Definitely let us know. We want to help support you, and we'll give you some suggestions. Dain, thank you again for being with us today.
Thanks, guys.